Well, hello. Hello, my fellow sensitive people. So, I thought it would be nice to come on and talk a little bit about meditations that I've been having. We had talked about the fact in the past that I really felt like something was going to happen. And they talked about in the meditations that it was the end of Trump's presidency. I never spoke about anybody dying or anything like that, but it was a feeling that within a 5-month period, we would see the end of Donald Trump. It's interesting that the New York Times is now covering a story on Marjorie Taylor Greene where she speaks about how naive she was to once believe in and support uh, Donald Trump. And it's interesting to see that development. She still definitely has some issues to work out. She still believes, I think, in Jewish space lasers, for example. But it's interesting to see that she definitely appears to be breaking with Trump. And it would lead you to suspect that this civil war that's happening inside MAGA is a real phenomenon. And that's because they have created this beast. They have created this Frankenstein, and now the GOP has no choice but to tear down that Frankenstein, just as they had to tear down McCarthy. They will now have to tear down Donald Trump because it's no longer feasible. It was great maybe for winning elections, but it's not feasible long terms in terms of creating workable policies. All right, so I thought we would do the empath prayer. I also wanted to say that in the meditations, I had felt an increasing paranoia and a need to control what was getting out as Trump. This is the evolution of grief that we had talked about, where he goes from a state of denial to anger as holes begin to be punched in his arguments that he is healthy. And then comes this fear. But what I'm feeling as Trump is almost like a paranoia that I am using my cabinet in order to control communications, in order to control what people are saying and not saying about me, even to the point of aggressively now pursuing or attempting to control the media. And when we saw that they didn't air the 60 Minutes episode in the United States, even though it was very well done, evidently, about problems with ICE, that's an example of this kind of intimidation of the media that we will probably be seeing more of in the coming days as cracks begin to appear within MAGA, and Trump is unable to control what the media is saying about him. So that means he'll begin to increasingly lash out and attempt to control the media. I do have a new bowl. This was my gift to myself. Let's bring in the empath's prayer. Doesn't sound as good when it's on that. It doesn't have the same. Well, that sounds pretty good. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, as a community, we say Amen. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in the world And I'm just curious. I know that Netanyahu met with Trump about the rebuild of Gaza. They're being delayed because Hamas will not leave Gaza and disarm, so the people don't feel safe, and you can't really rebuild it when there are terrorists running around with weapons. So it was interesting that that meeting was taking place today, and also Zelensky, I believe, yesterday met with Trump, which is good. Unfortunately, he said some crazy things about Putin wanting to help Ukraine, which I thought was really pretty funny, actually. Um, let's take a look at what we see in the ethers, and if we pick up anything, just by looking at the cards, they can trigger some kind of psychic connection, particularly after we do the empath's prayer. It's always nice. You can get into that new vibration, that great energy that comes with the empath's prayer, and helps you with your ability to connect. I feel when I go into this energy for 2026 that we are out with the old and in with the new. We are out with the old and we are in with the new. So, my first prediction for 2026 is that we see a major change or a new commitment, and we do see Congress is going to be signing and passing the budget. And I feel that Congress will have to sacrifice or give up Donald Trump. And that's because we have this new contract here with the Three of Pentacles coming in, but we also have the Hanged Man, which would indicate the possibility of some kind of ending that takes place. So we have the rising of the new, out with the old, and the rising of the new. That's so cool. Look, my green bottle's invisible. That's so cool. Okay. So people had asked about healthcare. I think a lot of stuff has to get passed, particularly when you have something like a Three of Pentacles moving in. But that also leads me to suspect that they're getting rid of this president because there's something about the energy of the old ways being hung up. We have January 1st as the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is often associated with the new year or a 1-year period. So it starts off with this amazing optimism. People are worried that artificial intelligence is going to be taking a lot of jobs, and that's certainly the prediction. But there also starts to become new jobs opening up for people that are trained in artificial intelligence and are willing to see where artificial intelligence is taking them. So I feel this excitement that's starting with January 1st and a feeling that we can overcome anything. It's amazing how optimistic January 1st actually feels despite everything, and this energy of a new beginning and letting go of things that don't serve us. And there is also this renewed patriotism that goes beyond political party, where people begin to focus more on the strength of the nation and the things that make the country great rather than attacking everything about the country. But there's this kind of strength and power and unity that January 1st hails with. You know, part of what the Republican Party did, and I see this with a lot of religious fundamentalism, is that they try to make an enemy of somebody. We are of God, they are of darkness, right? It's this kind of need to attack or create an enemy in order to prop up your church or your group. But this kind of demonizing the Democrats or weaponizing the Epstein files and saying, well, look, it's just the Democrats. This is proof that the Democrats are pedophiles. This need to weaponize your fellow Americans to the point where they are literally at war with one another doesn't seem to be the direction that the country is going in. In fact, quite the opposite. This is a feeling of getting back to work, a feeling, excuse me, a feeling of unity, and a desire to bring the country together, with a nice star moving in the fourth house, coming out of rocky waters and going to smooth waters. Also, there's something here I see about a rejection, as if the American people are going to begin to see very clearly. There really is a tipping point starting to happen where the American people are going to become fed up and start to see what they will and they won't put up with, and that we have to begin to become more proactive about the country that we're building for ourselves. We have the sun coming out for ourselves. Our opposite position is business, actually. Final outcome is the Three of Cups. I feel we are going to be entering into a time of unity for the country, but it could be the demise of Trump as the Republican Party desperately attempts to be a party that represents all Americans and not a party that's based on division and separation. And that also means coming together and finding out what's best for Americans when it comes to issues like healthcare. I really feel that that's one of the things that's going to be resolved. The other thing that's coming up for 2025 has to do with issues of affordable housing, loans, and creating houses, homes, apartments, etc., that are affordable for more Americans. That becomes a big issue for 2025 is affordable housing. So we have job training, artificial intelligence creates new jobs. We have more unity in America, people coming together, a lot less violence between the parties. We probably see the end of the Trump presidency. The vice president is given the position if the president cannot fulfill his duties. I know people don't like J.D. Vance, but while the Republicans have the power to do so, they're going to take control of the executive branch. I don't think they'll be able to hold the House probably in 2026. And it looks like it's already beginning to collapse simply because there's this kind of frantic feeling on the part of the Republicans that they have got to unify the country and stop this demonizing of the Democrats because it's only making them look bad. Look towards patience and care for yourself. Remember the story of Mount St. Helens. You know, Mount St. Helens erupted in the late 17th century, and the Chumash people, you know, I think it was the Chumash people, yes, that were living in the area, they didn't know what was happening. The Sahaptin people, the Nez Perce, they thought some great tragedy had befallen, and instead of storing food for the winter and taking care of themselves, they became engrossed in trying to interpret the signs and meanings of the eruption. What did it mean? What did it mean? So many people starved that winter. That is the story. It was the year of a great famine because people did not take care of their business. Instead, they sat around contemplating the signs. So that's a warning to all of us. The story of the Mount St. Helens eruption, you know, of the late 18th century, how it immobilized tribes and people were not able to take care of themselves and prepare for the winter. And so consequently, they suffered as a result. So no matter what is going on politically, no matter how you feel about this president or the next president, it should not take any time away from you doing what you need to do when it comes to storing for the winter and properly taking care of yourself going forward. But I would predict that a joy is upon us. The Three of Cups comes in, which would indicate a great rejoicing. January is a good month, and I see this amazing optimism. Be patient, be methodical in all things. Sobriety is advised. You know, if you're trying to get sober, clean and sober, and take care of yourself for 2026, this would be a great time to make that resolution. The star stands in the fourth house, which means a great anointing. Respect yourself. do what you can to protect yourself from any environment that's not good for your health. The Four of Cups in the sixth house would be an indication that it's okay to say no to situations, circumstances, or people that place you in harm's way. I will say that 2026 is going to be a busy year. I don't see massive unemployment, but I do see huge changes in employment. A 10 of Wands in the third house would be that we have a heavy load that we carry, huge obligations in 2026 for how we want to turn the country around. By summer of 2026, we see a lot of unity in the country around the time of August, and we see old companies shutting down or changing with an Eight of Cups over businesses. That could indicate that old businesses are moving away and new businesses are emerging. It's like the business of film, Kodak film, right? Nobody used it anymore, and it started to go through economic crises. You can see with the Page of Pentacles, which is the house of opposition, has to do with money and finance, and an Eight of Cups would indicate we could be seeing old businesses like Sears coming to an end, shutting down, and the emergence of new businesses as well. I keep getting this impression of Donald Trump under investigation, and that a lot of the investigations are going to be coming from reporters and people in media that have begun to uncover certain things, not just in the Epstein files, but things that were not covered in the Epstein file. And so now that Trump has left the world of denial and anger, he is now moving on to bargaining and fear. And that could mean him trying desperately to control all of the communications and media out there that exposes him, exposes what he's doing. That Four of Pentacles is a constriction card and it's over the presidency. That is also a frugality card. It's a poverty card. And so, unfortunately, I think with this presidency, we could be seeing Trump associated with frugality and poverty, probably due to his tariffs and the fact that the unemployment stands at 4. It's not terrible. It's a 4.6%, but a lot of people have stopped looking. A lot of people retired early as well. Overall, though, I would say it's a good year. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot opening up in the summer in terms of family opportunities for housing. Affordable housing begins to open up for people. New jobs begin to open up for people. And I really do think that we're going to have a new president. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this quick video. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all that information below. Be kind to all so that all be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.